Good morning, Canada. You're at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury, Ontario. We're here at the New Holland U-20 Canadian Curling Championships. My name is Sean Turriff. I'm your commentator for the day. We're going to be watching a tilt on Sheet C between the Alberta 1 men and the PEI men. Peter Hlushak and Connor Bruce. I apologize in advance, the Alberta team. I will probably not get all those names right. And as we get the introductions all finished up here, once again, we've got Alberta 1 throwing red stones, and we've got the PEI team throwing yellow stones by virtue of the last stone draw that was completed after the pregame practices. It's looking very much like PEI has last stone in the first end. Alberta lead, Varric Dopker, is an art student at University of Alberta. Skipper's going to ask for initial draw here into the center. This is a path the team should know fairly well, having just spent the last 10 minutes practicing. Most of that pregame practice is directed at the outside-in drop shots, mostly coming home as opposed to going away, but they do get a sense of what the ice is doing, and they get a sense of how much curl they can expect. Alberta wanting that top 4, getting pretty close. Under-curled for them a little bit, but very, very close. PEI lead, Nate McRae is being asked to remove the stone. Nate's a collision damage appraiser for CarStar.
Good toss. Yeah, well, I just kept it straight the entire time. Would have been good ice. Easy. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Nate just looking to hit that and roll to the side and redirect play off to the edge. Nothing too complicated from these teams early. They're just playing it a little bit wide open until they get a good feel for the game and the ice.
Heavy.
Alberta comes into this at with a 1-2 record. PEI at an 0-3 record. The competition is arranged with 2 pools of 9 teams. So each team's going to play 8 games. So 3 games in, nothing's been decided yet, but both teams will need to make something happen soon. This will be a fairly important game for both if they want to remain in the hunt.
Good. Definitely 10. You're way more. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Nate just looking for an out-turn hit and stick on the edge. A little unfortunate there, rolled out. Things still being wide open though. It's not the end of the world at this point. Alberta second, Lucas Sawiak is an accounting student at the University of Alberta. He's just being asked to put that back, top 4. Alberta electing here really just to keep it clean this end. Fortunately, Lucas got a little heavy with. You heard them say 14-4. That's the hog-to-hog times. Luke Butler, the second for PEI. Business and Min student at the University of PEI. Looking to put something, maybe start to get something going here. Throw up a little corner guard.
That was a 1. Could be the slower one. Top 4 or rip it?
Lots of curl to the wing there for PEI. Lucas just being asked to peel this out. Alberta not really interested in mucking it up here in the first end. And a successful peel. Wide open house all over again. Luke being asked just to put that corner guard back up. Both teams get 32 minutes of thinking time to complete the game. 32 minutes, a little different than what you normally see in an 8-end game. Normally it's a 30-minute thinking time clock, but these teams play under U-20 interaction rules. I'll go into that a little bit.
That's just first thoughts.
And as a result of those rules, they get an extra couple of minutes on their clock. That corner guard's a little bit high, but Alberta's still not really interested in playing around with it, so they're gonna peel that out. The Alberta third, Sahel Dalrymple, finance student at the University of Alberta. That intern peel. Doesn't quite peel it out. Use PEI something to play around if they so choose. And they do choose.
Good weight, 7-8. That's like okay.
More.
You didn't.
One's pretty straight. There's been one real straight, so I just be good.
Okay.
PEI third, Connor McEwen. Connor's a grade 12 student at Colonel Gray High School. Being asked for that out-turn draw around. Minor disagreement there about where to put the broom. Skip's thinking it's going to run pretty straight. Connor thinking it's gonna need a little extra. That one had room around the guard, but it was a little bit light. Putting a clock on that one, I got a 17-7 hog to hog. Again, these are the numbers that these teams will be looking at. Sahel just going to throw one up in the middle. Maybe come around that one to close off the scoring area. Now that there's a couple of guards in play. Alberta not feeling like they can double peel those. There's too much gap between them. This one over curling a bit, so there's going to be another guard in play. Now PEI is a choice whether they come around the center or try the same draw. They're electing to throw the intern around because, of course, they want to get to that center area, that valuable real estate, as early as they can. Both teams still figuring the ice and weight out a little bit. As I mentioned, they do get the 9-minute pregame practice. Most of that effort in that practice is directed towards nailing the last stone draw so that they can enjoy the hammer in the first end. That's a nice draw to the top four and behind cover. Alberta not really much choice. They have to chase that a little bit. Try and get into a position where they can close the scoring area down a little bit. In an end where I thought perhaps we would have it wide open. Now we've got some action all happening at once. Alberta skip is Peter Hlushak. He's a business admin student at, again, University of Alberta. This Alberta team playing out of the Saville Community Sports Center in Edmonton. Big history at the Saville Center. Lots of training history and development happening there. See Peter slipping to the back 12. He really didn't want to do that. He really, really wanted to be second shot, and ideally in front of that shot PEI stone. Bit of an unforced error there. This gives PEI the opportunity to come around again and maybe sink one top button, maybe a little bit underneath that yellow one that you see there on the top four. PEI skip is Connor Bruce. Connor's a computer science student at the University of PEI. This PEI team playing out of the Cornwall Curling Club in PEI. Rushers seem to like this. Well thrown shot there. Well managed too. Lots of communication among the PEI team. Put that in a pretty nice spot. I was saying maybe a little deeper in behind the corner, in behind the yellow shot rock, but this one works quite well. Cuts off that draw. Alberta doesn't have a lot of choice here. They could choose to run back the red, but it's a little risky. If they ever flash by it, they're giving up a 3. Potentially giving up a 3. So they'll try and sneak one in behind that one. That Connor just threw, top 4. They get really sneaky. They might be able to get a steal out of it, but this has to be a pretty precise shot. Nice thing for Peter is he just threw this, so he has an idea of what the ice will do, weight-wise and line-wise. There you go. That's a pretty nice shot. You heard them say 15-9. So again, hog to hog. Nice adjustment there from Peter. Put that right on the pin. Now Connor can see. Oh, from my vantage point, he can see maybe a quarter of a rock. And so what he's going to do is try and pick that out. If there's 2, you can see it there. You get an idea here of the ice conditions just by that broom placement. Connor will be throwing a fair amount of weight because he can't see very much of it, so he has to hit it relatively hard, but he doesn't have a lot of it to see. But still, they're taking probably a foot of ice. And this one's curling early. Rushers are holding it. It's going to be really close. Oh, just a rub off that top yellow one. Unfortunate, unlucky for PEI. And all of a sudden, there you see that little rub that was just that close. And unfortunately, just a little sweeping error. I think he had that shot made. So Alberta sneaks out a sneaky steal and takes a 1-0 lead into the second end. We'll be back shortly.
Let's get it on, boys. Row who? Row Pete. Row 15 on your first draw.
Welcome back. We're at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury, Ontario. My name's Sean Turriff. We're at the New Holland U-20 Canadian Curling Championship. We're watching a tilt between PEI men and Alberta 1 men. Alberta pulling out a sneaky little steal there in that first end. A couple of really good shots being made, and PEI almost popping that out for a deuce. Now Alberta this end opting to, ideally they wanted that in the house, I believe, but they're going to settle for that tight guard instead.
No, it should be out.
Okay, good shot.
Okay.
As coaches, we do tend to try and preach
I think.
missing well, and nobody's going to throw 100%. And so we do want to instill in our athletes that getting something out of every shot is obviously better than not getting something out of every shot. And so, good comment. Way to miss it.
Line. Stop forward. Stand line. Hard line. Hard. Weight's perfect. Line's good. Line looks fine. Drill it. All right.
A 5'9" on this.
Pretty good angle on it.
Or just straight freeze.
I know you're getting enough reps. Good. Come on. Straight freeze it.
Did 5.
Got a 5-6 on that.
Pretty good shot. A little deeper than they might have wanted, but they did sweep it to get it in behind the guard. Really well lined up. Alberta now looking to freeze just to try and cut off that scoring area.
Felt like less.
Line's good. Less. Line's good. Line's good. Wait only. We're like higher than the last.
Finish. Just curl.
Okay.
Just curl. Just curl.
Brushers had that
7.
nailed pretty much out of the hand. They did say right away that it was a little bit less. And sure enough, a little bit of a guard there. PEI once again going to try and come around, load up that center a little bit. A little unfortunate that those two Alberta guards are staggered. Means they can't be run back into the pile here. So PEI are going to try and take advantage of that and slip another one in behind.
Straight. Hard. Gotta go. Hard. Just try it. Gotta go. 2. Okay, curl. Hard. Hard over.
Intern wrap.
19-3. There's wrap one.
Both teams getting
Pretty much curl.
having a little bit of a I don't want to say issue, but they're having a little struggle figuring out weights here. You did hear 19-3, which is just a little bit crazy. That's again hog to hog time.
Got a hair down. Got top 8.
Line's good.
Typically, that's a big adjustment for teams that come to this event. You know, we're in an arena.
Gotta be there.
Ice is very good. Ice makers work tirelessly to make it as good as they possibly can. And as a result, you get some pretty quick times and some pretty good curl.
Nice.
19-3 is still fast, though. Alberta looking to come in on top of that PEI stone. Just hung out a little bit. That sheet D side is looking a little straight at this point.
Sorry? What? Yeah. Just can't kill the line that early. You got way out there.
You heard the comment, we can't kill the line early. And what they're referring to is jumping the sweep, so sweeping right out of the hand. And essentially what that does is it extends the break point, the curl point of the stone, and it's just impossible to recover and get back the curl that you would have had. Little tap there by PEI just to push that red rock into the back forefoot. They would have liked to have seen that curl a little bit more. As it is, it's you can get to the inside of that, especially with the amount of curl here on this surface. And so Alberta's going to try and, play like just a draw, heavyish draw to the back 4. Maybe come off the back side of that yellow rock.
Whoa, just have to clean for now. A little tight. Okay, go now. Easy. Whoa. Line's good. Room. Weight's good.
Curl.
Room. Curl.
Knife. Knife.
Almost, Jackie. Hard knife.
Get in there.
Another little unfortunate situation there. They just weren't able to get that curl late. This one side seems to be confounding both teams a little bit with respect to the curl. That bump was a little unfortunate because it pushed PEI into second shot position.
They're 2, right? That red's a good spot, though.
Yeah.
Luke going to try and come around here, and I think I saw Connor just tap for the guard here. If left the way it is, Alberta would have the little tap, angle tap, to promote that rock into the button area.
Drag down or no?
As I mentioned, one of the bigger adjustments these teams have to make are the ice conditions. Watching the last stone draw, for instance, draw to the button, players were taking about the mid 12 foot for ice. Case in point here, they took a little bit more for the last stone draw than Peter's taking here, just to get to the button, and so that's 4.5, almost 5 feet of curl. Not too many clubs out there getting 5 feet of curl, coupled with a 15.5 to 16 second hog to hog. That's pretty ideal conditions and something they don't see a lot. That one's just a bit heavy too. Not much though, and perhaps the ice is straightening up a bit because, again, as I mentioned in the last stone draw, they took a little bit more ice than that and were able to get to the pin.
4-7.
So Connor going to try and sew up this little hole. There still is a draw. If they can get just the right ice, they could still get down on top of that shot rock.
Same thing. Put that back on her. That's all right.
Not ideal. PEI is still sitting 3. However, that rock doesn't really help them because it's behind the tee line. Really just provides backing for Alberta to come down and sit on top. Anywhere top 8 there would have been fine. Maybe even top 12. Mentioned that idea of missing well. They did want it up there, and anything short would have been fine. Now, in fairness, as I mentioned, this ice is lightning quick, and the adjustments are pretty tricky.
Hard. Line. Whoa. Okay. Done.
Break for PEI there now. They're sitting 3 in behind cover. They do have to mind that run on the red that was just thrown, and that looks like what Connor is going to try and do. Ideally, they want to cover the inside of that, the outside of that stone. I think if I was Connor, I would have been tempted to come with the in-turn and come across the center line to try and get this into position. Very difficult to get it to where they need to from this turn. Yeah, just a bit of an overcurl there. It leaves that run for Alberta now. Not a simple shot, but there are a number of ways that Alberta can throw this into that pile and get something out of it.
You'd rather place it in here, though, than on this one.
Not really any way to get rid of all 3, but they certainly can take away some of the potential for a bigger multiple here from PEI.
3/4. You got it. Medium. Nine. Off. 9. Straight. Hard. Off.
Alberta liking the way this is coming.
Straight. Hard. Beauty.
Ideal shot. Well done. Well managed too. They on-off. Good line call. Threw just enough weight to make the shot. They're calling 9. I got 10 on my watch, but I'm not at a great vantage point to be able to make an accurate time. So we'll see if they mention what they thought it was. It's turning into a game of quickly changing advantages. PEI really would like to try and get a deuce here, and they had the opportunity to set that up. Now they're in a position where they've got to find a way to get that shot rock off the button, and they really don't have a path to it. So Connor looking to open up this center so that hopefully on his last he'll have a shot to get to the button. Right now there's really nothing he can use to get there. And Connor's going to be trying to move 3 rocks here, plus the shooter, so I imagine there'll be a little bit of heat on this shot. Seven-second peel, stirs it all up, opens up that center. Got a little unfortunate with that one red stone that rolled to the left, as you see there at the top of the house. It didn't really rather have that moved out of the way. It does cut off that out-turn path.
I got like this, like better than coming down. There's no one getting over it right now. No one really kind of hurt herself.
Yeah, I like this. I really like this.
Alberta is just going to try and plug that hole up. The way that run back angled in there onto that yellow stone makes it awfully difficult for PEI to remove it without jamming on the one in the back forefoot. Still, Peter trying to cut off any possibility that PEI will have to score.
Tight. Beauty.
And they do just that. PEI faced with a tough choice now. Do you run a red rock in there and try and remove that? It's always dicey when you have to try and promote your opponent's stone. I think they're electing not to do that and electing to look at the in-off their own. Not a lot of risk here, but as you look over that, it's very difficult to remove that red stone. Because even if they do make that in-off, they're going to hit it at such an angle that it's going to run into those 2 yellow ones you can see there at the back 4. If they get it just right, they may be able to spin it a little bit off of those 2 yellow ones. If they can hit the back yellow one, first, he may be able to spin it up and away from the button area. Pretty tough shot here for Connor. But again, no risk, and he really doesn't have a whole heck of a lot else, so this is the shot. He's close. Well, there you go. That was a pretty tough shot to make, but I'm not sure how much better he could have made that. The angles just weren't there for him. He needed to hit it just a little thinner. Really, really good effort. Really well managed, but Alberta does steal another one, and we'll take a 2-0 lead into the third end. We'll be back shortly, folks. Don't go away.
Don't forget your brooms.
Yep, you got it.
Come on up. Okay, well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, yeah!
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Welcome back, everyone. We're at the New Holland
You got her.
U-20 Canadian Curling Championships. We're at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury, Ontario. My name is Sean Turriff. I'm an Ontario boy. We're watching Alberta 1 and PEI men. Very good game so far. Lots of rock and play. Some really good shot making by both teams. A little bit of a struggle figuring weight out, but Alberta does enjoy a 2-0 lead on the virtue of 2 steals of 1 in the first 2 ends.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Just a little unfortunate for PEI. They've played very well, and Skip Connor Bruce there just about made a peach. Missed it by, we talk about the game being of millimeters, but he literally did miss that by millimeters. Thought he had it, and was that close. It was an awfully difficult shot, though, and for him to be that close was very good.
Good. 5-1. Good toss. Keep that weight.
Alberta seeing no need really to press their advantage here. They're going to throw one right in the house there. PEI is going to respond with a corner guard to try and generate a little offense. 2-0 lead is not huge, and not a huge deficit either. So neither team really panicking or too concerned at this point. New this year, the teams have gone to 8 ends. The games have gone to 8 ends. That's a result of World Curling rules. Curling Canada doing their best to prepare these athletes for the next level, and at the next level they're going to play 8 ends. So we've gone from 10 to 8 here.
Yeah, good.
It's what they mostly play on tour and in their events, so it's not a huge adjustment for them. In fact, if anything, the adjustment was to go to 10 ends when they got to this event in the past.
Got good. Got it, maybe top 8, top 4. Sure?
PEI successfully puts up that corner guard, and Alberta now looking just to throw another one top
Weight's good.
of the house,
Nice.
maybe
Nice,
short,
nice,
tight
nice,
guard.
Hard.
You see them rub off that corner guard. I mentioned earlier the amount of curl on these sheets. That's a pretty lucky / well-managed miss. I might have elected to come with the other turn on that one, just because that corner guard was so high and it was in the way for that very shot they were trying to make.
Sorry? 5-7.
PEI now going to look to take advantage of the corner guard that they just threw
Top 8.
by coming around.
Maybe top
That rock that was just thrown by Alberta is outside the rings, and so because of the 5-rock rule, they are not allowed to peel that out or move it out of the free guard zone area. Well, remove it out of play. They can remove it out of the free guard zone area, but they can't remove it from play. PEI getting one in there. It's not as deep as they might have wanted it, but at the same time, it is second shot, and it's because of how high their corner guard is, it's actually pretty good. It's difficult to chase with that because it's relatively close to the corner. Alberta ignoring it because that chase is relatively difficult. You see they're pretty well lined up there. Now they're going to maybe take I wouldn't say much of a chance, much of a risk, but they're going to take a little risk here and start to play a little bit. Throw up another center guard. Again, the team seem to really like this out-turn side. They've been fooled. They were fooled earlier with it, a couple of straight shots here. And we're seeing this one kind of hang there a little bit. but it ends up in a good position because it does cover that center line side of the shot rock.
Just a 8-3? Just a sliver wide on the set.
That's fine, though.
It's a good spot. Try, like, bump that one out, ice tight. I got
PEI looking for a bit of a run back slash peel slash change the situation kind of shot. Really nice run back there. Really nice run back there. Takes the shot rock out. Leaves PEI sitting 1. Alberta with their shot now. Shifting gears a little bit. They were hoping maybe to get a miss out of PEI, but not getting one. They're going to shift back into a little bit of a defensive mode here and take this PEI rock out. Hopefully maybe roll to the center. Primary goal on this shot is to either move the guard out of the way or to get that shot rock out. Got a little fortunate there that they did remove the guard and were able to get the shot rock over towards the center. It's wide open. It's not perfectly ideal, but again, I keep talking about missing well. That's a pretty good miss. They removed that guard so that PEI stone is available, and they did make PEI address this shot rock. Luke Butler here attempting to remove the Alberta stone and hopefully roll into a position where they can hide a little bit. Slight over curl there, leaves that open.
Is that there or no? No, it's super thin. You're playing it this way if anything.
But really not a bad shot. So if Alberta does hit and roll in under the yellow one, there's a relatively short run back.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in protect.
You could do this too. Like, you have room for that?
I'm good at that.
I don't mind
12-5
it.
here, you got it.
Alberta not throwing a lot of weight at it because they really do want to hold that shooter.
Bump down.
Weight's good. 12.
Curl. Curl. Bump down. Curl.
Really nice weight selection there. Really good shot. Teams might be tempted to throw a 9-second hit at that just to make sure they get it out. But then you have a better chance of losing the shooter.
Sorry? Yeah.
Yeah, we're second.
Okay. Big set.
You just hit. Hit. You could hit. You probably have to throw normal or peel at it just to
Fair.
hit and stick. It is the curl side. Unless you want to try it this way, but okay. Normal.
So you see the coach now coming out. The PEI coach is Dennis Watts.
Maybe we should just hack it out.
Dennis did not like the hit and has convinced Connor to throw that top 8 instead of hitting this one. And I think the argument, I wasn't able to hear what he was saying, but I think the argument there is if he does hit that, then he sets up the double for Alberta, even though Alberta is sitting shot right now. You'll notice on that last little interaction that the coach is able to come out and talk to their players. Under the new rules for U20s that flows down from World Curling, the coaches are allowed to speak with their players while the opponent's clock is running. So in this instance, of course, the PEI clock was running, so the coach elected to use what's called an interaction, coach interaction. each team gets one interaction per half of the game. They can't carry them over between halves, and during the interaction, the clock runs. That's why, off the top, I mentioned that they get 32 minutes because they get an extra minute per interaction. Now, again, it's not the clocks continue to run. The interactions are only intended to last 60 seconds, so there's your extra 2 minutes. The whole concept there is to give coaches more impact in the moment. Because of the way it's structured, they really can't call the game, which is something nobody wants. The players don't want it, coaches don't want it, associations don't want it. But it is designed to give the players information and guidance in the moment, similar to what other sports coaches can do. So far the feedback on that, last couple of years, those have been the rules, and they've been tweaked a little bit, but so far the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive on that.
He made one.
Oh, we won. You got that. We're one.
Pretty good.
Alberta makes a nice little tap there, coming around, taking the focus off of that side. PEI still is shot. They're poking out a little bit. So they might want to be careful there, leaving that open like that, but they can also put pressure on if they can get a second shot stone into the 4-foot area. So Connor McEwen here being asked to throw the in-turn draw to the 4-foot for second shot.
Line's good. Back four. Line's close. Line's good. Back four. Line's really good. Curlin.
Supers are calling back four out of his hand.
Back four.
Back four wouldn't be bad.
Coming down.
Weight should come off it though.
Curlin can. Whoa, straight. Blue.
He's very close. I've got a 15-4 time on that. Just now needs to break hard. Just needs to be second shot. Oh, so close. Was a very good throw and very, very close. And it is mostly buried and so tappable later. Alberta, of course, is going to ignore that because they're gonna try and focus on where that shot rock is. My role this week with Curling Canada is as a resource coach. So I'm available to the coaches to talk about things, and we say outside the boards kind of stuff. I'm not here to help them with strategy or ice conditions or sweeping technique or delivery. I'm here more for social stuff, shall we say. If you've got team dynamics problems or any logistics problems or things like that. We run professional development sessions for the coaches who are here in attendance. I'm not alone. I'm here with Curling Canada's Helen Radford, who you may have heard on a stream if you've been a regular listener. And the feedback around the interactions is that's where we get it. We have a coaches lounge where the coaches can come in and exchange information. It's fairly well attended and some really productive conversations in that room. Alberta took a little time to think this one through. They're looking to throw the in-turn.
Mid-5 here.
I think they're going to try and come in behind that little cluster, that red-yellow pairing.
Yeah. It's okay. I think it takes off.
Tricky little hole. It looks big, but with the amount of curl here, they've got to manage that break point well.
Close. Easy line. T-line. Line's good. T-line. Whoa. Easy.
Nice. T. T.
Curl.
Very tricky hole. They just barely got by that guard. They're going to be in on top of that second shot, which isn't the worst. It's pretty much wide open. It's got a little unfortunate. That was a very difficult hole. It looked big as you look down the ice, but again, with the amount of curl, very difficult to get past the guard and then not over curl.
Okay, spot.
Good effort. The good communication from the teams as they work their way down. PEI now has to be a little bit careful. They could just hit this, but they do run the risk of running it back onto their shot rock.
Like this. Even this. Yeah. That's the shot. I like it. them too, so just forward.
Remember Luke's board.
What?
Luke's board out here curled a good amount.
That's the right ice.
Same behavior.
Yeah, I'm going to check it.
You're doing that.
So Connor looking to come across the face of this with measured weight, I'll say. I think I heard board. I'll throw a clock on it for you folks at home who are interested in what the ice is running at. This one's curling. They're on it early. They're very close. Very close. Oh, just catching that guard, though. I got an 11.1.
Or we just hit 3.
The front now is wide open. You can see them just ticking that guard. They did run that the other yellow one in. That really doesn't help them a whole lot. Alberta's got to be a little careful here. If there is a bit of a slash to get both of those red ones out, and if they ever did that, then PEI could be looking at a nice little pot full of points.
Looks like bump. I like it. If we dead nose, isn't it a crotch triple? Okay, you got her.
Sounds like Peter's looking to play the intern tap on his own red to push that yellow one out of play. Doesn't want to rub that red guard. It's really curling, but he should be okay.
Pretty good.
Pretty good indeed. Alberta does sit 2 now.
We're 2 and 4. That's a good spot. I really.
PEI now looking possibly to make a double. Hard to keep the shooter here. I think they really want to make sure they score a point in this end. Even though it's just the third end, they certainly do not want to give up another single. And again, if they can press their advantage a little bit. They're figuring a hair high here, and they can keep the shooter, which should give them 2. Have to be a little careful that rock at the top 4 foot there on the center line, when it redirects off that one in the back, might jam on that one in the back of the 8 foot. So they have to be just a little bit careful. Well, they didn't get the jam, but they did jam on the other yellow one. Pretty good shot, though. PEI will take 1 this end. Tight game, lots of rocks to play, lots of fun. It's a 2-1 game. Just a little unfortunate there. That was going to be a difficult shot as well, but very good shot by Connor. Again, 2-1. We'll be right back with the 4th end. Welcome back, everyone. We're at the New Holland U-20 Canadian Curling Championships. We're watching Alberta 1 team versus PEI. Men's action here on Sheet C at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury, Ontario. Good game so far. Lots of good shots being made. Both teams making good adjustments. Early on, I was throwing shade at them a little bit for missing some straight spots and a little bit of weight, but they seem to have made some good adjustments. PEI there. PEI skip Connor Bruce forced to make a couple of tricky shots, and he's been so close. And that last one, he got the right side of the inch and at least got his point. So he's on the board. Calling on his lead, Nate, to throw up a tight center. Do a quick tour around the arena here. On Sheet A, we've got Saskatchewan playing Quebec. Quebec looks to be up 4-1. On Sheet B, we have Newfoundland and Ontario 1. Newfoundland Labrador and Ontario 1. Ontario 1 up 2-1. And on Sheet D to our right, we have Northern Ontario against Nova Scotia. And right now it's a tight one. Northern Ontario is up 1-0. For all the scores, get on the interweb there and go to curling.ca/scoreboard. There is another whole arena going on that I cannot see through too, so you'll want to know what's going on there. PEI dropping that center guard on the center line. Pretty good. It's a little bit higher than they were looking for.
They're like back 4.
Encourages Alberta to come around it. Didn't really want to be back 4 on that. They prefer to be front of the tee.
4-6.
This just gives PEI the chance to come down on top of it.
Good line, just heavy. Good line, just heavy.
This is that side that I talked about earlier. I think it's a little straight on that side. I did hear the team say this was the curly side, but they may have been referring to the inside out. Good finish there. It's just very late finish, and I think they're getting caught just a touch. That one under curled by about a rock.
Not good. Weight's good. Hello, light. Back 8. Oh. Back 12, back line.
Very nice shot there. Very quiet, well managed. Hack-ish weight just to push that rock out past the other PEI stone and get a nice little flop and roll. PEI now wants to put this in a position where they can maybe stir that up a little bit. Still just looking to freeze, but want to get it in a position where they can use it on their subsequent shots. Pretty good spot. That's usable for a next shot. Alberta, again, not taking a lot of chances here. They're just going to peel that center guard out. The blank very much in play here. Good peel there by Alberta.
What, 7-2? No way.
I like this.
Round from a 6-9 to a 7-5.
PEI has a few choices here. They could throw up another center guard and extend the end a little bit. The risk there is that things build up underneath it and they're unable to get rid of that stuff. So they're just electing to tap this yellow one, maybe flop over, maybe try and entice a force out of Alberta if they can get a couple of rocks in play and prevent a double. Mission pretty much accomplished there. Those rocks are not really doubleable, if that's a word. They could slash it, but then they risk hitting their own. It's not worth that for Alberta. So they're just going to hit this second shot rock and flop over on top. If they can get it into a good position, it'll make the double back for PEI hard. A little unfortunate there. They didn't want to roll to third shot position.
Is that good?
This opens the door now for PEI to generate the force if they can hit and roll away. Again, preventing a double. The angle between the yellow and red rocks really leaves the possibility of a double no matter where PEI rolls here. Definitely an unforced error there. The PI team really did not want to roll out. They really wanted to hold that shooter. But you can see they were trying to carve it all the way. That's that side, that sheet D side, where I'm still convinced it's straighter on that side.
Not good.
Easy down. Bump.
Very nice shot there by Alberta. Nice weight selection. Just enough weight to remove that yellow rock, avoid the jam, and get the roll. Very difficult shot. They made it look pretty easy. There's an angle here between the red stones, and so there is a possibility of a double. PEI, however, be probably just happy hitting and flopping over on top of that second red stone. Running straight again on them, though. We did get the roll. That was a bit of a, I call it a tweener shot. It's a little bit between the flop and the double. If they'd hit that with a little more weight at that exact angle, they would have made the double. If they curled a little bit more with that weight, they would have got the roll on top. It's hard in the moment there. That's one of those in the moment decisions. It's hard to know. Alberta happy just to remove this, and again trying to flop over so they can avoid the double back. Wanted to keep the shooter, of course. This opens the door again now for PEI to pop this out and roll, and maybe force. More likely to blank is in the cards for us here in this end. Both teams giving up their slight advantage in this end, back and forth.
I don't know. Look better than the last one.
Hearing Connor say never, never. That's not a good sign. Little hit and flop out. Not exactly what they wanted, but at the same time, because the house is wide open, doesn't hurt them much.
Out turn?
Just doesn't put the pressure on, that's all.
I think a low 5 here. He got her.
Teams do get a break between the 4th and the 5th end. It's the conclusion of this end. We'll take a short break and teams can refuel.
I got good.
Peter just going to try and throw this into a place where PEI might not have seen the ice, or it might be fresh. They don't expect them to flash it, but you want to give them the best chance you can to flash it if you're Alberta.
Curl. 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 4-8. Yeah.
And you heard that comment that this side's curling a hair more. The teams are starting to pick up on that straight side on sheet D side. This being the sheet B side. And PEI rolls out, giving Alberta the opportunity just to get a view on a piece of sheet that they haven't seen yet. They will I expect they will throw this through. However, being an even end, they may elect to take the point, go up 3-1. As expected, they're going to blank this, throw this one through, take the hammer into the 5th end with a 2-1 lead. As I mentioned, the teams now get a short break between the 4th and the 5th end. We're going to take a break ourselves, and we'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Look at that shot.
See how he reacts. There goes Rutgers in here. Gets them both too. Great shot. That's a great shot. Oh, he's gonna pick it right out of there. He's got it.
That is what you need to become the Canadian
What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got in the game.
Time to go home, kiddo.
Just one more throw, please.
Thank you for making moments like these possible.
Well, we're here in the fourth end break of our tilt between Alberta 1 and Prince Edward Island. Men's curling game at the New Holland U-20 Canadian Curling Championships here on Sheet C at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury, Ontario. Been a good game so far. A couple of misses, but lots of rocks in play and some really close shots. You just see that shot by PEI. We thought we made it, but it wasn't quite to be. It was a very difficult shot. And I think Connor made it as close as he could there. Connor been forced to throw a couple of tricky shots like that one as well, and just throwing them well. Angles just aren't setting up exactly right for him. Alberta able so far to manage that well, and as a result they enjoy a 2-1 lead going into the fifth end. There's lots of game left. Both teams playing very well, and I expect that the next four ends we'll really see some continued good shot making, and probably both teams turning it up a little bit just to try and get that advantage. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We've got 4 good ends, I'm sure, coming up. We'll want to see how this one plays out. We'll be back shortly with fifth end action. Welcome back. We're at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex in Sudbury, Ontario at the New Holland U-20 Canadian Curling Championships. My name's Sean Turf. I'm joined here by my production crew and nobody else, but thankful for the production crew keeping me on track. We're watching Alberta 1 and PEI men in the fifth end of their tilt here on Sheet C. Alberta up 2-1 with the hammer here in the fifth end. Been a good game so far. Lots of good shot making, lots of rocks in play. Both teams probably a little hungry. Alberta 1-2, PEI 0-3, so winless yet, but still 5 games to go. 9 teams in their pool, so they'll play 8 games to get out of the round robin. Lots of time left in the week. It's only, what is it, Tuesday morning. It's only Tuesday morning. Typically after the fifth end, we see sometimes there's a slight change in the ice because it's sat for a few minutes, and what they'll typically do, they being the ice makers, will typically mop it. They'll just remove any debris and make sure it doesn't go completely frosty in the few minutes, but sometimes that results in a little bit of a shine on the ice, a little bit of a speed up, if you will. So we'll keep an eye on that. Alberta slipping deep there with their draw. PEI put up that guard that was pretty nice. These athletes and teams are playing the no-tick rule, not just the no-tick rule. So not just the free guard zone rule that we're used to, where you can't remove the stone until after the fifth rock of the end, but the no-tick rule. So if there is a rock in the free guard zone, it cannot be pushed off of the center line if it's currently on the center line.
Okay. Make this one.
I make note of that because that yellow rock of PEIs, they probably wanted that a little bit over to the center, just to that added security. You see another one deep there by PEI again. That it might be a result of that little shine up that the ice makers do. It's a pretty typical thing for them to do at a championship event like this. Pretty standard, helps keep the ice in good shape for the remaining 4 ends of the game. Ice conditions here have been immaculate for 2 weeks. The U-21 mixed doubles Canadian Championship was on here last week. Fantastic ice conditions, just everything you would want for mixed doubles. Lots of curl, lots of speed, stayed great all week. And so far this week, we're seeing the same thing for the fours teams.
Okay. A little wide.
Alberta making a decent adjustment there to get that to the T line. They were sweeping it, but again, they're doing that to try and carve it under the center guard. Didn't quite get there. So PEI now has the opportunity to hit this and maybe roll away. Similar to the last end, they're going to try and spread those rocks out and keep Alberta from being able to generate a deuce. Not exactly what they drew up, but a really good result. A really good sweeping effort there by PEI to maintain the line on that. Just got by that guard and flopped mostly under that center guard. That works out okay. Alberta now forced to address that center guard situation. Now the free guard zone rule is no longer in effect. Maybe trying to run this back. They don't want to leave the shooter sitting there though. Unless they can take care of all 3 yellow rocks, then they don't mind so much. That one PEI stone does hang on to the back, so gives them the opportunity to tap this one out and sit 2.
Sawhill 6.
Nicely thrown rock there. Well executed. Yes, it does. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that stuck around. Bit of a key there for PEI to have stuck that rock in the rings. Just that little bit of extra pressure now. Alberta's still going to ignore it because it's so deep. They're going to try and take advantage of this red guard, try and come around and put it in a good scoring position.
Mine's good. Little tight. Hard. Copy. Curl if you can. Hard, go.
Go, Sawhill.
Take it. Get under there.
Really well thrown. That rock is fully buried there, and great weight.
Good sweep.
Good play.
Really well thrown rock. Really well managed as well. We see this. This is one of the big evolutions for this age group, in my opinion, is the rock management and the sweeping management. Demanding ice conditions, and it's really demanding on those team systems, which these teams are executing very well. PEI trying the run back there, but the peel is not so bad. Forces Alberta to make a decision.
Okay. We just saw it last time.
I think in mid-5.
So the conversation there was around whether they guard it or whether they draw a second one in. The perils of a guard, it's very difficult on this kind of ice to put a guard in a position where the chase can't be made. Very difficult. And so sometimes the best guard is second shot. And this is what Alberta's electing to do here. If they can draw one sort of on top of second shot, which is currently the PEI stone, that effectively provides some protection. This one's got a lot of work to do to get over far enough.
Good.
That's not bad at all. Their second shot, and PEI has no double there.
5-4. Just fast everywhere. Just quick everywhere. It's good.
PEI here will try to hit and roll away from that cluster on the other side. I would be tempted to roll to the cluster just to try and encourage a jam there, but a little unfortunate there that they rolled out and jammed that at the back.
Yeah, same weight.
Needed to curl quite a bit more. Even a nose hit there would have been okay, I think. Just some slight mistakes here by PEI. Not quite getting the angles, not quite getting the rolls, and it's slowly grinding away on them a little bit.
Roll for Becky.
Line's good. Right to it, guys. Right to it. Line's really good.
Alberta here really just wants to not set up a double for PEI. They are happy to be wide open, but as long as there's no double, then they're getting themselves set up for a deuce.
Oh, it's a little.
Very good shot there by Alberta. They elected to freeze down to that second Alberta stone. Second PEI stone. And again, no double for PEI. So PEI's got to try with their first skip stone here to get their shooter somewhere that's maybe hopefully going to set up a double for them on their last shot so that they can try and still manufacture the force.
The draw ran way better, I felt. It felt like I was there, so it's good.
As I mentioned earlier, the teams don't have timeouts per se. They have coach interactions. They get one per half. PEI used one in the first half. Alberta did not use theirs in the first half, and they're not carried over. So both teams now do have one interaction. Not required on this, of course, but it's there if they need it.
Yep.
He just knows.
So it looks like PEI is sitting one.
Yeah.
Alberta will try and hit and roll on top, although a nose hit is just fine.
I think he might be able to run into it.
Yep. A quarter is better than a half. Yeah.
I think this guy's a hair higher. Are they next to each other or no?
Yeah, like we should be able to go over.
Okay. You got her, 10-5. I got 10.
Yep. 10. Yep. 10. Really hard.
Alberta can hit anything on the outside of the stone. They don't really want to hit the inside. They don't want to risk rolling out.
You guys are acting like we're rolling out.
Good nose hit.
Done?
There is because that rock is higher. This is why they wanted to roll maybe to the outside a little bit, because this rock is higher. If they had rolled a little outside, it would have been difficult for PEI to hit and roll over on top of the second shot. And that's what they're going to want to try and do this time. They're going to want to try and hit and roll over on that second shot so that there's at least some chance that maybe Alberta runs their own out if they try and take the PEI stone out. It's a long way where it's cross house, so this is, you can see it's cross house. So Connor's again got a tough shot here. He's got to hit that and hopefully roll all the way over to that other side. Certainly doesn't want to roll out here. gets the nose hit instead. So it's just a nose hit opportunity for Alberta just to get a deuce. They really needed that to curl a little bit more.
Yeah, 10-7 on your last.
Peter here just looking for his nose hit, calling a 10.
10-5. Hard, you gotta go really hard. Pull away.
They're on it out of their hands. It looks so it's curling. It's curling. But the sweepers were able to hold it, and he did make that hit and roll. So Alberta does sit 2. They get their deuce here in 5 to go up 4-1. When we come back, PEI will have the hammer, and we'll try and get some of that stuff, some of that score back. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching the New Holland U-20 Canadian Hurling Championships here in Sudbury at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex. Big shout out to New Holland for their support of this event. You'll see their logos in the buttons, and you'll see them on the jerseys, and you'll see them all over the place. We certainly can't have an event of this quality without sponsors, and particularly without a sponsor like New Holland. So thank you to them. Here we've got Alberta 1 and PEI playing on sheet C. Relatively big game for both teams. Both teams, Alberta won at 1-2 and PEI 0-3. But 5 games to go in the round robin, so there's time. Both teams have to get on the horse though and start galloping a little bit. Alberta enjoying the 4-1 lead.
Money. Yes. I'll keep my head.
Playing this relatively conservative with that draw into the middle. The 4-1 lead, they don't really want to take any chances. PEI now really has to try and generate some offense here in the 6th. The game's starting to slip away a little bit, so a deuce here would be critical for them.
Yeah, good toss. That was good. Give 2 feet off.
Guy curl and get 3. Guy curl and get 3. You have a pretty good attitude. Yep, all in. I knew it was good. Yep.
I'm going to switch sides on that.
Good extra, I guess.
Top 12. Mid-5. Sure. Same weight, you got it.
Good corner guard there by PEI. Nice depth.
Get a little heavy. Heavy.
Could have been a little wider, but at the same time,
Can't.
covers just the inside of the forefoot there.
Gotta get him, have a miracle right now. Back line, back. Just there.
Alberta trying to clog up that center again, but again, this is that sheet D side. Any little bit of extra weight, it runs a little straight, and this one had a little bit extra plus a little bit more, so that one slips through the rings. Giving PEI the opportunity now maybe to take advantage of that corner. Yep. They threw it up there to draw around, and that's what they'll do with it. Again, do a quick tour here of the scoreboards. Over on sheet A, we've got Quebec against Saskatchewan. Quebec leading that one 6-2 in the 6th. Right beside us, we've got Ontario 1 and Newfoundland Labrador with a tight one, 2-1 for Ontario 1 at the moment. And over on sheet D, I'm going to just stall until someone gets out of the way. There we go. It's Northern Ontario and Nova Scotia in a 1-1 tie playing in 6. So some low-scoring games here, except for, of course, the Quebec Saskatchewan game. Well, PEI not really able to get under that corner guard. Coming in on top of that red Alberta stone on the button. Again, that intern side just not curling quite as much. Alberta just going to rip this out. Not too concerned if they rip out the one at the back. They did miss it, so good for them. Not too concerned. That behind the tee line, it's a little bit of a liability for them. You might notice that I'm making reference to Ontario 1, Alberta 1 numbers for these teams, and you might be wondering why. Well, 2 pools of 9 teams means there's 18 teams on the men's side, 18 teams on the women's side. The way this event is structured is some of the member associations, meaning provinces and territories, can get multiple entries based on how their member associations finished in previous years. The idea being as a development opportunity to give these different provinces and different athletes the opportunity to experience a national championship. We know that the more experience you have at these events, the more development happens. I think that kind of stands to reason. So that's why the field has been expanded in the last few years to try and get more kids the experience of a national championship. As a result, we've got a couple of Alberta men's teams here, a couple of Ontario men's teams here, a couple of multiple teams on the women's side as well. PEI slipping a little deep on their draw around attempt, and because their second shot, Alberta confident in just ripping off that corner guard. PEI going to try and... Sorry, I thought PEI was going to replace that one, but it looks like they're going to hit and roll here. Again, on that straight side with a little bit extra weight. A little bit of an unforced error there rolling out with that. That's a little bit costly. It's going to be much more difficult now for PEI to generate multiple in this end. Alberta will be just happy to rip stuff out of play at this point.
Air down. Yep. 10.
A little surprised that PEI didn't elect to throw up a corner on that one. They kind of need to build offense. Hitting and rolling is fine to sit 2, but it's very difficult to roll it to a place where you weren't going to give up a double or a roll on top. Even though that yellow rock's behind the tee line, I think they needed some front protection.
Good. How's that KT tape holding up? 10 gets tossed. Yep.
PEI really doesn't have they could elect to freeze on this or throw up a corner guard to try and continue their quest for a multiple score here. Electing instead just to try and play out this end and maybe regroup for the next for a deuce.
Mid-5.
Berto will probably just put this right in the center, and both teams agreeing kind of to play this end out and probably just play for the blank.
Weight's good.
Part of my role here this week, as I mentioned, is as a mentor coach for the coaches. On the opening night, I run an icebreaker session for the athletes, and this year I was happy to tell a story about 2016 when I was coaching at this event for the Nunavut men. Shout out to those guys because that was one of my best experiences as a coach. Alberta slips deep there, you see, and PEI just going to rip it out again. Back in 2016, we had some stars in that field. The winning team that year was none other than Matt Dunstone, the same Matt Dunstone, currently representing Canada at the World Championships. Matt was an amazing representative, even 10 years ago. He was phenomenal towards, my guys, which I appreciated so much. But the story I told the kids in the icebreaker was, when I try and do this every year, I told them that, this is an experience that hopefully they'll soak up and they'll remember for more than just the play on the ice. There is a players' lounge that the kids hang out in every night, and the camaraderie and atmosphere in there is very positive, very, very positive. I mentioned Matt Dunstone because in 2016, Matt won, but he played Tanner Horgan in the final, and on Tanner's team was none other than Jacob Horgan. And Jacob Horgan was obviously playing with his brother. And so I told the kids, you fast forward to 2026, Matt Dunstone's at the Brier, and who's sitting on the bench with Matt in the Brier? None other than Jacob Horgan. So his opponent from 10 years ago in this event. So I wanted to bring that to their attention because, this is more than a bunch of games they're going to play. It's more than a championship. It's an experience that I hope they'll always carry with them, and the relationships they make carry on for practically a lifetime if they want. Sorry for the diversion. I love that story. I tried to freeze there. Didn't quite make it. Had a little separation on the Alberta rock. As a result, Alberta decided just to rip it out. Again, Alberta happy just to keep this super clean. 3-point lead. They really don't need to take much of a chance, much of a risk. They really certainly don't want rocks in play that will give PEI the opportunity to build up a multiple. I'm going to just put this rock somewhere in the rings. Again, as I said, both teams seem to have quietly agreed that we're probably going to blank this end. The throw through not intentional. They did want to put that in there somewhere to force Alberta to make a shot, but Alberta with a little bit of a choice now. They could just throw it in the rings there somewhere and play it out. But you can see Alberta third suggesting that maybe we get fancy here. Maybe we kind of half bite the top 12.
Where to? Isn't it just top 8 and he has to hit it further? I feel like this would be
giving. Yeah. I think the attempt here is to give PEI the best chance they can to hit and stick, to force PEI. Not a big risk, and not a great chance that PEI is going to miss the peel, but you want to give your opponent the best chance you can to help them miss.
Hair down. Clean. Go here. Go.
Looks big.
Clean. You're good.
It looks like it's on the T line.
Oh, yeah. Why are we going for top 12? Ah, perfect. He's not throwing hack, he's throwing peel.
What turn do you like? He's going to roll up here.
Some question there as to what the thought process was, but as I said, I think they just wanted to try and give PEI the best chance they could to miss. Miss really here for PEI is a nose hit. One doesn't help a lot, even with the game fading away a little bit. Really need a multiple.
5'8".
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Lean. Yep. Lean.
And PEI throwing that peel, rolling out, maintaining the hammer. We'll take a 4-1 game score into the 7th end. Alberta up. We'll be back very shortly. Don't go anywhere.
Yep.
Welcome back, everyone. We're at the U-20 New Holland Canadian Curling Championships in Sudbury, Ontario, at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex, former home of the Amethyst Curling Camp. A little shameless self-promotion there. It's a great facility. Ice has been great. We've got the Alberta 1 team playing PEI, Alberta 1. Currently enjoying a 4-1 lead. PEI with hammer, though, in the 7th end. Score's a little bit misleading. A 3-point lead isn't a lot, but both teams have been playing quite well. PEI missing just a little bit more than Alberta, and so enjoying that slight advantage. 2 ends left to play. Both teams vastly different strategies at this point. Obviously, Alberta will want to try and keep everything pretty clean. PEI will really need to get some rocks in play here to generate offense. They may need to take some risks. They're going to throw this one in. I fully expect PEI will throw up a corner guard on one side or the other and ignore this.
My hand hurts so much up there. Yeah.
Another area where these athletes will have had some development over, say, 10 years ago when we were in Stratford, a 2016 version of this, is with respect to some of the analytical statistical numbers. Renee Sonnenberg at Curling Canada has done an amazing amount of work mapping out probabilities and result expectations based on end and score differential and hammer. And so teams know, for instance, that in that last end, for instance, PEI will know pretty clearly that taking one is not really going to get the job done, and that their probability of winning drops quite a bit if they had chosen to take their one there. I don't think anybody ever maybe would have taken that one, but I think teams recognize now much more, in a much more fine-tuned way, when they need to steal and when they don't, when to take the risks and when not to. So PEI, I think personally, wisely, choosing to blank that last end. Wasn't the intention when they started out. They did try and generate a little bit, and then got a couple of unfortunate misses, which allowed Alberta to force the blank, if you will.
Guys are really bad at this weight judge thing. Good.
So Alberta throwing up another one into the top 4. PEI does have the opportunity to hit and roll. They could choose to draw. Some teams will just draw here. And it looks like that's actually what PEI is doing. Some teams might hit and roll here. Now, those 2 rocks are a little bit deep for the hit and roll, so if PEI had chosen to hit and roll on that, the goal would be still to get the shooter under the cover. But if you're going to do that, you're probably better off drawing. I say all that and then totally missed the call because PEI is throwing up a center second corner guard. Probably the most prudent call, to be honest.
Just out or just in.
2 good guards there for PEI. The only issue with there is a I won't say an argument. There is a philosophical argument, I guess, around whether teams throw 2 corners, 1 on each side, or stack a corner. The advantage of the 2 corners is it gives you opportunities to throw both sides. If you do, the stacked does give you a little protection around the peel. It does bring in the risk of the double peel, but some teams will throw the stacked corners, and some teams will throw the 1 on each side in this situation. Alberta not really. I mean, they can't do much about the corners, so they throw another one up in the center. PEI now forced to hit this one. I think looks like they want to roll probably towards the right, as you see that on the screen. Not really looking to peel. Again, PEI is in offense mode, so they really want rocks in play. They're only using this rock really to get their rock under the guard. Not too concerned about the rocks at the back there yet.
I like that.
Didn't really get the roll they wanted. Ran a little bit straight. He might have been a little bit narrow on that one. Alberta choosing to take this PEI stone out. They could have elected to peel. PEI gets their wish a little bit insofar as there are rocks in play, places to freeze, places to draw behind. Alberta's in pretty good shape here with respect to where the rocks are positioned.
No, that's good.
Line's really good. Hair tight. Line. Line. Okay.
I like that.
Hey. All in. Gotta go all in.
Put 2 corners up and don't even use them.
Helm out. Yep.
There you go.
Whoa. Straight in, Phil. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that works pretty good. I think just
Not a bad freeze by PEI. They are seeing probably 3rd shot, but at this point they're really trying to set things up.
His nose bad? Nose, yeah. Like we can't lose it. Like I think the or just freeze it.
As I mentioned earlier, Alberta had chosen to tap that yellow rock out of the rings. That choice now brings these corner guards kind of into play.
high 5.
All this playing around in the center is there's just more rocks now to cover and more rocks now to freeze to. I'm a little surprised that Alberta is freezing here. I think with the score as it is and with the number of Alberta rocks in the rings at the moment, I might be tempted to peel this out. The third Alberta rock, I mean.
T-top 4. Okay. Done? Wow. Okay. 4-9. Won't take perfect. That works. 4-9.
Exactly like I want to keep there. I kind of think an act.
I guess.
That's right with you.
I kind of.
Alberta does have 3 rocks there in that forfeit area, but with all the rocks building up, it slightly favors PEI. You can see they're not throwing a bomb at this because, again, they want rocks in play. They want catchers. They want places to freeze to. They want security for whatever rocks they get in play. And so they're not throwing a bomb at this. They're not trying to remove a lot of rocks. They're trying to rearrange them so that it's more and more difficult for Alberta to remove those PEI stones. Not too bad.
Can you kill both?
Yeah, I think so. Half rock, you should at least
Half rock field.
They would have liked to have rolled a little further to prevent this from happening. Alberta feels they can rip both of those PEI stones out of play. Half rock peel, I think you heard.
Beauty.
And all the PEI stones out of play.
7-0. Money.
Still rocks in play though, and the center kind of wide open for PEI. They can come down and freeze. They have to address that rock in the forefoot. But if that rock in the forefoot ever went away, then they would have the corners, both corners now, to work with.
Wait, good. Line's good. Line's close. Line's good, good. Whoa, straight. Whoa. Something. Right out. Just rip it.
Pretty good peel. Pretty tough to put a spot in there. Now, to my point, Alberta's going to peel this. They're going to just rip it, was what I heard. I think, personally, I think it's important to keep the shooter around just because those two corners are still in play. If they do rip it, I would expect PEI to use one of the corners, come around for shot, and then suddenly Alberta's going to have a bit of a time. Not quite as straightforward as just ripping it by the looks of things. We may see an interaction here by the coach. I could see him fidgeting in his seat, so I think he decided not to come out after all. But the team's decided instead of ripping anything out, they're going to go on the alternate defense here by guarding shot rock, figuring that if PEI can't get to shot rock, then that's as good as a guard.
Go for a 6-5.
We do have our first final over on sheet A. That's Quebec men have beaten the Saskatchewan men 8-4. Should have said this before, but for all your scoreboard needs, go to curling.ca/scoreboard.
Halfway tight. Yeah, you're good. Line's good. Weight's good. Line's really good. Tight.
Yeah, I got really good.
Weight's all there. Where?
Tight.
Tight. Hey, whoa. Oh, good. Oh, no.
Beauty. Done?
That's a good guard by Alberta. Very difficult now for PEI to get shot.
Now I don't know if we play. Hey, Connor, how are we getting at this after? Let it run, but... What's the referee for that? No, less than that. Yeah. My only thing is, because then what do we raise after? I don't know what that was. What did we do? Yeah.
Fuckers are working me like a dog right now. That seems that way.
Oh, yeah, true. This is just that line back. Yep.
On the door?
So PEI coach Dennis Watts coming out to talk to the team. Didn't really, I think they had indicated they want to throw the out-turn draw behind the corner. The issue with that is, what do they do on their last? Because likely Alberta would ignore that and further sew the center up. So what he was trying to say, I think, I couldn't hear through the mics, that you really have to address that center. Give yourself a chance on your last rock to get that multiple score. And so the result being that Connor is looking now to play the in-turn around that center, hopefully put it into a position that will allow them to run maybe that corner into the pile and remove that shot rock.
He's up one with, or it's up one without.
Should curl on this side. We've been getting good curl on this side. Good curl on the other side too, just a little bit less than the side. got to be really careful with where they position this rock, because if they do plan to run that in, they don't want to create an angle that makes it difficult to get to the shot rock.
Only if you can. Whoa. Great try, Connor.
Really good draw there. I got a 15-6 hog to hog. That's in a really good position. Alberta will have to address it somehow, because there is the potential now, if Connor can make a run, angle run, there is a potential for a multiple score.
I don't think we want to.
And he's been awfully close at making some of these angly shots.
Give us a 16. Because that likes the miss, I think. 7 on your last.
If Alberta can put one in on top of those 2 yellow ones, that might take away that angle run, sorry. I think that's the plan. At the moment, I believe Alberta is sitting 1.
I think it was hair hot. Tee back 4.
Top 8. Move. Tee. Move.
Tee.
Can't touch yet.
Back 4.
Back 4 isn't what they want.
You gotta go, man. Curl. All you got, man. You gotta go.
Back 4, wait, pretty good.
You gotta go, so it's not bad. You gotta go.
Keep going, go. Hard bear. Go. Perfect.
That is probably pretty perfect. Very, very good shot. Very difficult now for PEI to run anything in without. Very hard to get shot now. Very good shot there by Peter.
Yeah. I was thinking you could play like nose the red with hack.
Connor considering running a red in. As I mentioned earlier, it's always a little dicey when you have to run your opponent's stones in. The possibilities are less in your favor than they are when you're running your own stones in. At this point, though, as mentioned, I don't think the angle run on the guard that they were hoping to set up really is an option anymore. So hoping if they can run this almost straight back, just get a little angle off that red one that Peter just threw and redirect onto that yellow one, they might be able to get rid of those 2 yellow ones and, or sorry, get rid of those 2 red ones and hold the 2 yellow ones. Connor's been really close on these a couple of times, these kind of shots already, so. He's close again. Great shot. Knew he was close on it when there's the curl straight call, and really good run back by Connor. PEI does get their deuce, and now we'll go into 8th, looking to try and steal their way to a victory. Alberta does, of course, enjoy hammer and a 4-3 lead. We'll be back shortly with maybe the final end. The 8th end for sure.
Don't forget your brooms. Well, you got 1, you got 2, yeah.
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the New Holland U-20 Canadian Curling Championships here in Sudbury, Ontario at the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex, where we've been witness to a great game between Alberta 1 and PEI men here on Sheet C. Alberta again 1 and 2, PEI 0 and 3. Both teams have a little fire under them to try and get back into the mix here a little bit, and both teams have been playing like it. They've made a lot of shots, and it's been a close, well-fought game. Alberta, of course, up 4-3 with hammer here in 8. So PEI really gonna have to try and generate some offense here, take some risks. They're gonna do that with the high center. Alberta likely going to come around that, ideally to try to come around top 4-ish. And I would expect then PEI to ignore it and try and throw up a second center. We'll see how that all plays out.
Got pretty good.
This is not an easy shot. This has to be, you certainly don't want to give PEI a second center guard, and you do not want to slip behind the T line. Alberta doing a good job of getting that in the house. Pretty big sweep there. As expected, PEI ignoring that stone and throwing up a second center. Similar to the last end, PEI is going to want to try and get as many rocks in play as much as they can. Any hits they throw will really be about redirecting the shooter into a good position. Two excellently thrown rocks there by Nate McRae. Two center guards, one short, one long, both of them touching the center line. Neither one of them removable by the no-tick rule. Giving his team the best chance he can to get a steal out of this end. Alberta's going to want to be careful here. Again, they do not want to slip behind the T-line. They slip behind the T-line. That gives PEI the opportunity to have something undercover and with backing. So Alberta really wanting to put something top 4 here.
We got heavy. Mine's good. Heavy.
Heavy's not what you want to hear.
Sweep it by.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to be heavy, you're better off being heavy / through, because anything else is backing. So no harm, no foul. It didn't really help Alberta, but it didn't hurt them. 4 feet lighter would have been much worse.
3-7.
Now PEI is going to try and follow that path. This is that straight side we talked about earlier. We'll see how the teams adjust.
Close. Big. Yeah.
Not encouraging sounds from the PEI front end. Weight was close. I got a 15-3 hog to hog, and it is finishing fairly well. The line there wasn't bad, but again, just a little heavy. They really needed to be a little higher on that one.
No, we're going PP plus.
Alberta not going to take any chances anyway. You could chase that, but that would not make a lot of sense because it's behind the T line. Really just going to try and clean this center situation up so that they have more options later on. Ideally a double peel here, but not quite made. That's not any shade on the Alberta player there. Those two guards were really well placed, really difficult to make that angle peel. So being that close, excellent effort. PEI now, of course, is going to put that back up. The idea being here, you want to maintain as much front cover as possible, as long as you can. Alberta has a little bit of an out, even if there are corner guards up, because on their last rock, if it's just corner guards and the situation's maintained, they've got the draw to the backing.
3, 2, 2, 3. Stay out for now. You're just over now. You're just over now. Nothing. Dead nothing. You look good or look here? We're actually not bad. 1-2. Yeah.
PEI wanting to keep as much distance between their two guards as they can. Again, really trying to prevent the double peel, because that's what Alberta is going to try and do. showing a bit of an out-turn bullet. Close to the double. Oh boy. Well thrown rock. Tough with those rocks in play. Just a little unfortunate that they clipped their own and left that second PEI stone in play. Bit of a game on situation now. Alberta's not in a lot of trouble because the center's now open thanks to that double peel. But at the same time, PEI's got to make sure they position these rocks in a really good place because of where that shot rock is behind the tee line. Really quick update on sheet B. It's a 3-3 tie between Ontario 1 and Newfoundland Labrador. And on sheet D, it's a low-scoring affair between Northern Ontario and Nova Scotia in the 8th end. Northern Ontario is up 2-1 without hammer. So again, curling.ca/scoreboard for all your scoring needs. Trying to put that right on the New Holland logo. Just get it over there a little bit. Looks like they pretty much did the job. Again, Alberta really just going to keep trying to remove. They don't have to score to win this game, but they do have to keep PEI from getting any points on the board.
Yep. Whoa, whoa. Girl. Okay.
Oh, very close to getting that other one out. PEI just going to keep replacing that guard. The significance of that second yellow stone in play means that if Alberta can't draw for shot, then they will have to hit and stick for shot, because hitting and rolling out obviously leaves PEI that shot at the end of it all. So that yellow rock squirting into the house there was pretty significant and a bit of an advantage for PEI. That one over curled just a bit. But Alberta's still not going to leave it in play. Don't want to mess around here.
Yep.
Temptation might be to try and make the double on the two yellows in the rings. But if they ever miss that, that just gives PEI the opportunity to sink another one, maybe better, around that corner, center guard that they had just thrown up. It's better just to get rid of that center guard and remove all issues there.
My last one was down on rotation. Yeah, and you looked a bit tight too, but I think that's better than not having the ice. So. Yeah, well, 3. Doesn't have to be tight. Let's go, Connor. You got her. Nice free.
You see the clocks running in the background there. PEI has 4 minutes left, so they've got lots of time for 2 more stones, and Alberta has massive amounts of time with 8 minutes, 23 seconds, so time clock's not going to be a factor here. Again, because the teams don't get a timeout, that's the time they've got. There's no stopping the clocks. But they do get the extra 2 minutes, so they should have enough time. And seems like they do. Top 12 is not ideal because it does give Alberta the opportunity to make the double.
At least double trying to get.
Once again, I feel like maybe they got caught on that straight side a little bit. Not sure there's a triple. There's certainly a double here. They make this double, it'll be awfully difficult for PEI to generate their steal. And Alberta taking their coach interaction.
No. Either try to get 3 or try to get 2. Oh, fuck. No drag.
Or here.
As mentioned a couple of times earlier, the coaches get 2 coach interactions over the game. They get one in the first half, one in the second half. Coach Byron Jago. Sorry, Byron, if I messed your name up. Talking them out of the peel, I believe, or the triple attempt. Nope.
What?
Maybe just confirming how they wanted to play it. Tough triple. But double does most of the job. PEI now going to put this in a position where a nose hit doesn't do the job and the double is difficult. Still a chance here.
Maybe a hair more. Yep.
Indicating they'd like this top 8 foot. Top 12 isn't bad either. Definitely need to be second shot. Really, really want to be second shot. This one looks awfully light. The boys are going to have to really work to get it there. Quite light there, unfortunately. I got an 18.9 second hog to hog. That should give Alberta the opportunity to play a quiet little draw or hit, you know, user's choice on that one for the win. And now, because they were able to make that double previously, they can just rip this one out and they don't have to worry about the shooter. That guard doesn't provide a lot of cover, and so you can probably see half to 3/4 of a rock there. That broom location indicates to me they're just going to throw quite a bit of weight, just in case he's close. He's close, but I think he's by. Whoa, not by much. But he does the job. He gets by the guard and rips that one out for the win. Alberta will blank that end, and as a result, will take this game 4-3. A good game played by both teams. Some really good shot making out there, and we look forward to more soon. We're on again here at 2 p.m. Hope you tune in. For the production crew and for New Holland and for all our volunteers, thanks for tuning in. See you later today.
It's a beautiful blend of strategy, skill, and creativity. Curling. But it's our people that make us great. We're a mosaic of countless experiences. We communicate and collaborate. We value new ideas and different perspectives. We learn from our past and from our future. We may even disagree sometimes, but it's in our differences that we can see our strengths. The beauty of our sport is reflected in our people and our values. Regardless of your ethnicity or gender, your abilities, your stage in life, your beliefs, or who you love. The rocks and the ice don't discriminate. And as curlers, we won't either. We will be the change that we want to see in the world. Curling is a place for everyone.